Welcome to Dreamtime Diaries, where the past and the paranormal collide. Tonight, we uncover the secrets of New York City's most enigmatic building, the Dakota. Gothic grandeur, whispered curses, and the restless spirits of its dark history come alive as we follow Emily on her chilling journey. Dare to explore with us? Hit that subscribe button and let the mystery begin. In the heart of New York City's Upper West Side stands the Dakota, a building shrouded in mystery and history. Its Gothic architecture looms large against the night sky, casting long shadows over the street below. Built in the late 19th century, the Dakota is not only an architectural marvel, but also a repository of untold stories, restless spirits, and whispered curses. Among the Dakota's many residents, both past and present, few names resonate as strongly as John Lennon. The former Beatle lived in the Dakota with his wife, Yoko Ono, and it was outside this very building that he tragically met his end. Yet, the Dakota's eerie reputation predates even Lennon's arrival. One crisp autumn night, long after the city's hustle had quieted, Emily, a new tenant of the Dakota, found herself unable to sleep. The stories she had heard about the building's ghosts swirled in her mind. Tales of curses cast upon the building and whispers of occult rituals performed in the shadows. To calm her thoughts, she decided to take a late-night stroll through the grand, dimly lit halls. As she wandered, Emily marveled at the Dakota's intricate woodwork and antique furnishings. Her footsteps echoed softly, the sound swallowed by the building's vast, cavernous spaces. She approached a window at the end of the hallway, looking out over the courtyard where the leaves rustled gently in the breeze. It was then that she felt it, a chill that prickled her skin and made her breath hitch. She turned, and there in the dim light stood a young girl, dressed in clothes from another era. Her eyes were wide, and her expression one of profound sadness. "Who are you?" Emily asked, her voice barely a whisper. The girl said nothing, but lifted her hand to point down the hallway. Intrigued and oddly unafraid, Emily followed the silent child. They passed closed doors and darkened corners until they reached a grand, sweeping staircase. The girl descended, her footsteps soundless on the plush carpet. At the bottom of the stairs, Emily saw a woman in a long, flowing dress, her back turned. She was weeping softly, the sound heart-wrenching in the otherwise silent night. The girl approached the woman, placing a small hand on her arm. The woman turned, and Emily saw a face etched with sorrow, eyes red from crying. Before Emily could speak, a sudden rush of wind blew through the hallway, extinguishing the few lit candles. When the light returned, the ghosts were gone. Emily stood alone, the air thick with the remnants of sorrow and a lingering chill. The next day, Emily shared her encounter with Mrs. Harper, an elderly resident who had lived in the Dakota for decades. Mrs. Harper listened intently, her face a mask of knowing concern. "You've seen them then," she said softly. "The girl and the woman. They've been here for as long as anyone can remember. Some say the girl was a resident's child who fell ill and died in the building. The woman, her mother, was so grief-stricken that her spirit remains, searching for her lost daughter." Emily shivered, the previous night's encounter feeling even more real in the daylight. "And the crying woman?" "Many believe she is another spirit entirely, perhaps a former resident who suffered great sorrow. The Dakota has seen its share of tragedy over the years." Mrs. Harper's expression grew even more serious. "You know, there are stories that go even deeper. Some say the Dakota was cursed from the start. The building's design, with its gargoyles and intricate stonework, was said to be influenced by occult practices. There were rumors that its architect, Henry Janeway Hardenberg, dabbled in the dark arts, infusing the structure with mystical symbols meant to protect or perhaps trap its inhabitants. Emily's eyes widened. "Do you believe those stories?" Mrs. Harper sighed. "I've lived here long enough to know that this building holds many secrets. There are tales of strange rituals in the basement, symbols carved into the foundation stones, and even the occasional sighting of hooded figures in the dead of night. Whether they are true or not, the Dakota has always had an air of mystery about it." Intrigued by Mrs. Harper's revelations, Emily decided to delve deeper into the Dakota's history. She visited the New York Public Library, poring over old newspapers and architectural journals. She discovered that Hardenberg had indeed been fascinated by esoteric philosophies and occult symbols. Some articles suggested that he had incorporated protective sigils and runes into the Dakota's very foundation, meant to ward off evil spirits. Yet, as often is the case with the occult, such protections can sometimes backfire, trapping restless spirits within the building's confines. Emily also found references to a series of mysterious deaths and accidents during the Dakota's construction. Workers claimed to hear whispers in the night and see shadowy figures flitting about the scaffolding. A few men even quit, convinced that the site was cursed. The most unsettling story was about a foreman who allegedly vanished without a trace, leaving only a cryptic note that read, "The darkness claims us all." As Emily delved deeper, she uncovered more recent tales. During the 1960s, a group of residents formed a secretive club dedicated to exploring the occult. They met in the Dakota's basement, conducting seances and attempting to communicate with the building's spirits. One night, their leader, a man named Victor Sterling, disappeared during a particularly intense seance. His body was never found, but participants claimed they saw him being pulled into a shadowy void by unseen forces. The more Emily learned, the more the building seemed to come alive with dark energy. She began to notice strange symbols etched into the woodwork and stone. Symbols she had initially overlooked, but now recognized from her research. The sense of an unseen presence grew stronger, especially at night. Late one night, as she was returning to her apartment, Emily felt a strange compulsion to visit the basement. She descended the stairs, her heart pounding in her chest. She reached the heavy wooden door, now familiar, and pushed it open. The room was dark and empty, the air thick with anticipation. As she stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind her. Emily felt a chill run down her spine as the temperature dropped. She fumbled for her flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness. The symbols on the walls seemed to glow faintly, pulsating with a life of their own. Suddenly, she heard whispers, soft and intelligible murmurs that grew louder and more insistent. She turned, and there in the corner stood the girl and the woman, their eyes fixed on her. The room seemed to close in around her, the air thick with an unseen force. Emily steeled herself. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, her voice trembling. The girl stepped forward, her eyes pleading. "Help us," she whispered. Emily felt a surge of determination. She knew she had to find a way to release these trapped spirits. She began to recite the cleansing ritual she had learned from Professor Jameson, her voice steady and strong. The room shook, the symbols on the walls glowing brighter. The whispers turned to wails, the spirits reacting to her words. Emily continued, her voice unwavering. The temperature dropped further, and she felt a cold hand brush against her cheek. She closed her eyes, focusing on the ritual. Suddenly, there was a blinding flash of light. When Emily opened her eyes, the room was empty. The oppressive energy had lifted, replaced by a sense of calm. She felt a warm breeze brush past her, and she knew the spirits had found peace. Exhausted but relieved, Emily made her way back to her apartment. She knew that Dakota would always hold its mysteries, but she had made a difference. The building seemed lighter, the air less oppressive. The ghosts of the past had been laid to rest, and the Dakota, with its curses and its history, could finally move forward. As she drifted off to sleep, Emily felt a sense of satisfaction. She had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. The Dakota, with its ghosts, its history, and its whispered curses, would always be a part of her. But now, she could live in peace, knowing she had helped bring light to the shadows. Thank you for watching Dreamtime Diaries. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and share. Stay tuned for more mysterious and haunting tales. Good night, and keep the lights on.